Good morning. We're live. March 8th. Oh my goodness. Daylight savings times comes to daylight savings time comes to our area next Sunday. Spring is almost upon us. Isn't this exciting? It's great to be with all of you this morning. We'll give everyone just a few moments to join, and then we're going to dive right into scroll number 6. I'll be the master of my emotions. Always good to be with you on a Monday morning to launch your week, to begin this process. Been reflecting on this one over the weekend in preparation for this morning. And sometimes it requires us to be in a good mood to hear about how we should make our mood change. Because there are times when we just feel like being in a pity party, right? And there are times when we're just angry and we don't want to let go of the anger. We feel justified and frustrated. And August just sharing with us that when we're in that space, nothing good really ever comes out of it. And it turns out to be a giant waste of energy. So the question is, where are you this morning? Did you wake up in a good mood? Did you wake up depressed or frustrated? And I don't mean clinically, I mean just down or overwhelmed, or it's Monday morning and Well, this scroll, I do hope, will serve you in helping you launch your week in a way that can create success. Og understood the challenges that we face as human beings, and I love the opening to this scroll. Scroll 6. The tides advance, the tides recede. The winter goes, the summer comes. The summer wanes, and the cold increases. The sun rises, the sun sets. The moon is full, the moon is black. The birds arrive, the birds depart. Flowers bloom, flowers fade. Seeds are sown, harvests are reaped. All of nature is a circle of moods. And I am part of nature. And so, like the tides, my moods will rise, my moods will fall. Isn't that true for all of us? We're having a great day and something blindsides us and it just takes us out for a moment. This isn't about the fact that we'll never feel those feelings, because we will. It's part of nature. The question becomes, what do we choose to do when we feel them? That's the secret. One of nature's tricks, little understood, that each day I awaken with moods that have changed from yesterday. Yesterday's joy will become today's sadness. Today's sadness will grow into tomorrow's joy. Gahal Gibran, and the prophet who says that we experience joy to the extent our heart has been harrowed out by sorrow. Yeah. Inside me is a wheel constantly turning from sadness to joy, from exaltation to depression, from happiness to melancholy. Like the flowers, today's full bloom of joy will fade. And here's a key phrase: and wither into despondency. Yet I will remember that as today's dead flower carries the seed of tomorrow's bloom, so too does today's sadness carry the seed of tomorrow's joy. So we're going to be undulating. Emotional highs, emotional lows. We want to do everything we can in our power to minimize those highs and lows and to catch ourselves in those moments, to pull out our tomahawk, just not going there today. I'm going to choose something different. Because Og makes it really clear that it is a choice. Isn't that interesting? It's a choice? Oh my goodness. But I don't want to choose. I don't feel good today. Well, that's a choice too. So let's take a look at this. It takes me back to a trip. We were filming some commercials back on the East Coast, and we flew out of Salt Lake City into Denver to Cincinnati, and on. Coming back in Cincinnati, there was a terrible thunderstorm, and they kept us on the tarmac forever. And when we finally landed in Denver, we were flying United. That's what the client put us on, instead of Delta, which would have taken us straight home. But we landed in Denver. It was too late for a plane to take off. They have a curfew. for landing and taking off. And we were alerted that we would need to find a hotel and we would be put on the first plane out the next morning. Okay. Now what do we do? Turns out that our plane was one of the last ones to land and be notified that we wouldn't be able to take off. So all the good hotels were already taken. And our producer found us a hotel in a really difficult industrial area of town, and the hotel was velvet red and the beds had big dips in them. And I turned on the television for a moment and like every channel was pornography, so just shut that off. Anyway, slept for 3 hours. That's all we had, 3 hours, and we were back in the van, headed back to the airport to fly home. It just was. No matter what you want to do, you couldn't fly out. And it's a 10-hour drive from Denver home, so you might as well just catch the plane, right? The next morning. Well, there was a gentleman on our, and I use that word carefully, a gentleman on our flight who just went ballistic. We're all sitting in the chairs, there by the podium, and this airline employee was dealing with this man. I'm trying to be careful how I say this. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Steve Martin, if that means anything to anyone. It was over the top. I lost count of the F words. And we started whispering amongst ourselves, and it sounded like this. "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We didn't know that you're more important than everybody in the whole world. Let me bring a plane around. We'll bring in a flight crew and we will fly you home." And everybody was laughing and chuckling, but it really wasn't funny. It was rather embarrassing. And for this fellow, have you ever been tempted to do that? I know I was recently. We had family in and we took them to our favorite restaurant here in town. And we got our name on the list, right? We thought that was a reservation. It wasn't. We were on the waiting list. They told us it would be 45 minutes, but interestingly, we decided to wait. 45 minutes later, they had several multiple person reservations. And when they started coming in and filling all the tables that were empty that we thought we would be able to go to, they told us it would be maybe another 45 minutes. Oh, did I come close? Oh, can you feel it? I'm hungry. The family's there together. All these small children were... And I just walked through as calmly as I could. Okay, so 45 minutes ago, when you told us it would be 45, did you not know you had all of these reservations coming in? And there was no use in having a discussion. We just left. And we went to a different place and had a great experience. It was awesome. We were practically the only ones in the other facility and had a great dinner. Bottom line was, I kept trying to play in my mind what I would have said to him if I were back there and how I could have said it different. I said, stop, David. Just not going there. There's no good. No matter how many times you play this out, it's not going to change that you left and you're here and you're eating and let's have a good time. Don't throw good after bad. Don't let that happen. And once I calmed down, I went, you know what? His job was to keep that restaurant full. And if a reservation had not shown up, we would have had a table and they would have been able to fill the capacity for the night and maximize the revenue. His job was generating revenue for the restaurant. My only job was to have dinner. And we got sacrificed in the process. Okay, no big deal. Anybody had one of these lately? Where you just want to fly off the handle because it's so ridiculous? Well, log tells us in this next paragraph, and how will I master these emotions so that each day will be productive? For unless my mood is right, the day will be a failure. This is a great paragraph. Here it comes. Trees and plants depend on the weather to flourish, but I make mine own weather. Yeah, I transport it with me. If I bring rain and gloom and darkness and pessimism to my customers, they will react with rain and gloom and darkness and pessimism, and they will purchase not. If I bring joy and enthusiasm and brightness and laughter to my customers, they will react with joy and enthusiasm and brightness and laughter, and my weather will produce a harvest of sales and a granary of gold for me today. I'll be the master of my emotions. I'm going to encourage everyone today to have a little fun. Take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Just write my emotional state. My emotional state. What is it? And just put a few little emojis or whatever around it. And make sure you throw in a tornado and a thunder and lightning little cloud with a thunderbolt and sunshine. And just ask yourself every morning when you wake up, what is my emotional state? Because if I show up like, Tom the Tornado or Willie the Whiner, I'm gonna impact people in a very negative way. Just consider for a moment, anybody in your family fit that category other than yourself? Just anybody, a child, a companion, a parent, a friend, anybody in Eeyore just kind of all the time? Is it so easy to identify that that's how they show up? Well, our benefit today is that we're going to make a decision to show up differently ourselves. So let's make our 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. What is my emotional state? And let's just make the decision every morning to show up in a way that helps other people feel sunshine, helps other people feel joy that day, that we're not carrying this heaviness with us. Please understand how hard this is. Well, it may be very hard, and there may be some really painful challenges, no doubt. But the highest level of agape love is showing up in a way in our challenges that inspire others to show up in theirs with greater levels of courage. And then just be observant. See if you see anybody like that gentleman I saw at the airport, and observe what it's like for the people around them when someone's acting that way. Just ask yourself, do I ever want to be that person? Are you like me? If you ever went there, you could eat them alive. This kid was probably 17 years old, 16, 17 years old at the restaurant. He didn't need me to eat him alive. He just didn't. So let us make the decision ourselves, how we're going to show up. Then Og gives us some assistance. He says, now this first word can sometimes send a little arrow to your heart. So put up your awareness for a moment. Weak is he who allows his thoughts to control his actions. Because our habits of thinking, when we're discouraged and down, our negative habits of thinking just come pouring in. So weak is he who allows his thoughts to control his actions. Strong is he who forces his actions to control his thoughts. We act in spite of how we're feeling. And it's interesting that when we make the decision to do this, the body actually releases different molecules. We get the stress hormone cortisol when we're frustrated and angry. This makes us feel even more angry and frustrated or anxious. And then we release more positive molecules. It's an energy thing. We can shift our own energy by mastering those emotions. And he gives us just a list of some fun things to consider. If I'm depressed, I'll sing. If I feel sad, I'll laugh. If I feel ill, I'll double my labor. Fear, I'll plunge ahead. Now, many of you will like this next one. If I feel inferior, I'll wear new garments. Okay, go shopping and get something new. I feel uncertain, I will raise my voice. If I feel poverty, I'll think of wealth to come. If I feel incompetent, I'll remember past success. If I feel insignificant, I'll remember my goals. He's going to be talking about this soon in scroll 9, where we'll keep our goals above our head, right? Scroll 3. If I feel insignificant, I'll remember my goals. Today, I will be master of my emotions. And he confirms where we've been so far this morning. Henceforth, I know that only those with inferior ability can always be at their best. And I am not inferior. There will be days when I must constantly struggle against forces which would tear me down. So if you're in that space, just go, this is normal. This is part of this cycle, highs and lows, good and bad. Now, despair and discouragement, relatively easy to identify. Then he gives us some that aren't as easy to identify. If I become overconfident, I'll recall past failures. Overindulgent, think of past hungers. If I feel complacency, I'll remember my competition. If I enjoy moments of greatness, I'll remember moments of shame. If I feel all powerful, I'll try to stop the wind. If I attain great wealth, I'll remember one unfed mouth. If I become overly proud, I'll remember a moment of weakness. If I feel my skill is unmatched, I will look at the stars. Today, I'll be the master of my emotions. And with this new knowledge, I will also understand and recognize the moods of he on whom I call. I will make allowances for his anger and irritation today, for this is when you're observing, he knows not the secret of controlling his mind, which infers that we do. We are a decision. We now know that. I will withstand his arrows and insults, for now I know that tomorrow he will change and be a joy to approach. Then my favorite paragraph. No longer will I judge a man on one meeting. No longer will I fail to call again tomorrow, and he who meets me with hate today, this day, he will not buy gold chariots for a penny, yet tomorrow he will exchange his house for a tree. My knowledge of the secret will be my key to great wealth. Henceforth, I will recognize and identify the mystery of moods in all mankind. Be the observer so you can see the damage that's done, and in me. From this moment, I am prepared to control whatever personality awakes in me each day. I will master my moods through positive action. And when I master my moods, I will control my destiny. Just feel where you are today. You may be in that, I just don't want to feel good, or I want to feel angry. Just do your best to step back for a moment and observe. Just take a look and say, wow, am I going to throw good today after bad? Scroll 5, we just finished, right? I'm not going to spend one more morning yesterday defeats, yesterday's aches of the heart. I'm not going to spend a moment tormenting myself over things that may never come to pass. I'm going to make a decision to show up today and create my own weather. And that weather is going to be bright and sunny and a blessing to all with whom you meet and I meet. May we do so today. And may this be the very best day of your life. And each day this week, let's awaken. Let's look at that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, my emotional mood, my emotional state. What is it? What is my emotional state? Am I a rainstorm? Am I a thunderstorm? Am I a little drizzle? Am I sunshine? And let's make a different decision and see what we can create over the next week in our lives. Thanks, everyone. Let's go do it.